Betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from the ones closest to you. And God allows this not because He delights in your pain, but because He knows that without betrayal, you would never discover the hidden strength He planted in you. You would never be pushed into the secret path He has ordained, and you would never learn to lean fully on Him rather than on the fragile loyalty of people. For Judas sat at the same table with Jesus, ate the same bread, walked the same roads, yet his kiss was the doorway to the cross. And Joseph's brothers smiled at him as family, but secretly plotted to strip him of his robe and his dream. And David played music for Saul, yet Saul threw spears at him. All these stories scream a shocking truth. You cannot fulfill divine destiny without facing betrayal from those closest to you, because God uses it as the hidden furnace to burn away false attachments, to refine your discernment, and to shift you toward His purpose. For Romans 8:28 still whispers that all things work together for your good, even the wounds you did not see coming. And when you ask why God didn't stop the knife, the answer is that He let it pierce just deep enough to separate you from what could not go with you into the next season. Because some friends are secretly anchors keeping you in shallow waters, and their betrayal is the storm that forces you into the deep. While your flesh wants to cry out in anger, your spirit is being trained to rise in wisdom, to see beyond the smile into the motives, to understand that not everyone who walks with you is for you, and not everyone who applauds you wants to see you succeed. Betrayal is the hidden teacher that exposes the truth you would never believe unless you experienced it firsthand. For how else could Jesus teach you to love your enemies if you never had one in your inner circle? And how else could you practice forgiveness if the ones who hurt you were only strangers? Number. It must come from the ones you trusted, the ones who knew your secrets, the ones you thought would never turn. Because it is only then that your heart learns the radical obedience of Matthew 5:44. To bless those who curse you, to pray for those who despitefully use you. That command is not theory. It becomes life when you are betrayed. And though the betrayal shocks you, it shocks heaven far less, because God foresaw it, permitted it, and wove it into the fabric of your destiny, turning their scheme into your stepping stone. Just as Joseph said in Genesis 50:20, "What they meant for evil, God meant for good." And so the betrayal that broke your heart is the same betrayal that broke your chains. The knife they used against you became the scalpel in God's hand, cutting away every false reliance, every counterfeit connection, every shallow comfort, so that you could stand purified, equipped, unshakable, and though betrayal makes you feel abandoned, the hidden reality is that God is nearer in those moments than ever, whispering through the pain that you are chosen, that this is not rejection, but redirection, that this is not the end, but the doorway. Because every crucifixion has its resurrection. You cannot rise unless you are first struck down. You cannot walk into the garden tomb unless you first endure Gethsemane. Betrayal is often the garden where your will breaks and God's will begins. And though your heart cries, "Why me?" heaven replies, "Because I called you." Because betrayal is the confirmation of chosenness. It is the evidence that your destiny threatens darkness. For the enemy does not waste betrayal on the insignificant. He reserves it for those who carry weight, for those whose lives will echo. And so, your closest friends may secretly become tools in his hand. but they are still under the sovereign eye of God, who uses even Satan's schemes as raw material for your promotion. And when Judas betrayed Jesus, Satan thought he had orchestrated victory, but in truth, he only escorted Jesus to his throne. That is what betrayal does for you. It escorts you, painfully, shockingly, but unavoidably, into the place God intended all along. That is why you must resist the trap of bitterness, because bitterness blinds you to the hidden gift in betrayal. Bitterness chains you to the past, but forgiveness unlocks the door to the future. And you must remember that Judas left the table, but the table remained, and God will always fill it with those He has chosen for the next chapter. Just as Psalm 23, verse 5 promises, that He prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemies, meaning even those who betrayed you will have to watch as God anoints you and elevates you. That is why you cannot allow their betrayal to define you. For God has already defined you. He has already called you beloved, already written your end from the beginning. Betrayal is but a line in the script, not the conclusion. And so every sleepless night you spend replaying the betrayal is wasted energy, because the betrayal was never about what they did to you. It was always about what God is doing in you, teaching you to hear His voice above the noise, teaching you to walk by faith and not by sight, teaching you that no matter how close someone stands to you, only God deserves your total trust. And so you must release them, release the bitterness, release the questions. Step forward with the hidden confidence that this betrayal was not random. It was strategic. God, in His sovereignty, allowed it, because He knew that the very pain that makes you tremble now will be the very testimony that makes you unshakable later. And when you rise from this, you will carry wisdom you never had before, discernment sharper than any sword, compassion deeper than before, and faith that has been tested in fire. That is why your future self will thank God for the betrayal you curse today, because without it, you would have remained blind, dependent, attached to what could not sustain you. And so you must embrace this shocking reality. The betrayal of your closest friends is not proof that God has abandoned you. It is proof that He is advancing you. And though the wound is deep, the healing will be deeper. The hidden message of your betrayal is this: you are being positioned, you are being pruned, you are being prepared. You will not die in this pain, but rise from it stronger, because what the enemy meant to end you has only served to ignite the purpose God placed within you. That is why you must not stay stuck at the place of betrayal, for destiny awaits on the other side. Lift your head, wipe your tears, walk forward with unshakable faith, because betrayal was never the end. It was the beginning of your breakthrough.